Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty bummed that I can't drink my sheep milk.
Yeah,
I'm so
I
sad.
got a feeling that's a problem for you. I don't have a lot of time
Yeah.
because I have to be down in Medford, but
Sure, let's grab it.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I was waiting to milk so that we can get you fresh stuff. But I'm also looking into freezers for the next month while I go off, take a break.
actually, the best way is to have a refrigerator.
Would you prefer?
I freeze both your milk for cubes because they have to be added into the blend as little ice cubes. The colder they are, the better. So I have to make up little things to get through the funnel openings this big in the Y containers. And then I also freeze those containers full of tea when I make the teas for certain herbal bars. So I need to have that frozen because it protects the herbs from the lye if they're super cold.
Cool, interesting.
Before they go into the oil.
I've never
So
made soap again, so I'm super interested in what you're saying.
It's kind of like the same thing that anyone does for milk soaps. I have to do with herb soaps. And so I need a freezer to bring these big, like 2.5 gallon containers, 2 of them at a time, to make the soap. I need to
That's what I was wondering what your batch size was. 4 gallons? 5 gallons?
Pounds.
5 gallons?
110 pounds about.
5 gallons?
No, it's more than that.
Oh, okay.
It's probably like 20 gallons.
Wow.
I make big
That was a huge batch. The cheese
I make
cheese
two
lady
50-pound blocks at a time.
is making about the same size batches too. That's bigger than I can handle. That's cool. Yeah.
50 pounds is all I can.
Yeah, right. Me
My
too.
max out, I can't do that.
I'm about a 50-pound max too.
So 50 pounds times 2 is a batch, and then it gets cut by wire cuts into strips, and then cross-cut bars.
Cutting it with
depending on
wires.
the bar size, yeah.
Is it while it's warm or something? Doesn't seem like wires would be hard.
Wires
Like
and
sharp enough to go through.
pneumatics. I built my own
Pressure?
pneumatic. I'm a sort of
Nice.
a
You
metals guy.
made your own
and-
cutter?
Yep.
And it
and it's
uses wires
pneumatic.
instead
It
of
uses compressed
hydraulic.
air. Compressed air.
cool.
I have people in the community who trade me food that they grow or they produce, but for the last month, my ad for it was expired, and I only had
Nobody
four.
was coming.
Yeah, and I thought that people. I was like, oh, someone will call in a couple of days, and that turned into a month. That's what happened, and so that made me just consume more milk because I was like, well, shoot, usually I'm sharing this milk, and really what happened is Rosie started to come into milk, and I rehomed her lamb, and that just like skyrocketed my quantity. So how far are you selling it? Are you selling it nationally?
It's
Yep.
as far north as Portland right now.
Cool.
Thank you, Rosie. You got so much milk, Mama. Oh, so good.
Rosie's is the wateriest of my 3 right now. When they all occasionally will have like notes, flavor notes in their milk.
Is that due to what they prefer in their diet?
Yeah, I think that's gotta be what affects it or causes those flavor notes. But she definitely has like 10 times more often flavor notes.
What happens if they get into garlic?
I haven't noticed anything specifically. I used to stay at a orchard that had wild garlic, and they ate the crap out of that, and I didn't really notice any flavor difference. So it's not like whatever plant out here is strongest flavored, it's going to affect their milk. For some reason, like I think it's more bitter things, like bitter things than alkaloids. Different alkaloid profiles is what changes it.
Like they go to mustards and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would think that things like mustard also would affect their milk, but I haven't noticed that because I have grazed them in exclusively mustard green areas, and I don't notice that I don't notice that profile. I think that what they eat affects their milk like more than 48 hours later, because there's no way that it affects it 24 hours later. Otherwise, after this 7 years, I would have recognized what plants are doing it.
Good girl, hubby. Yeah. What up?
This is my best milker right here. I mean, most quantity right now too, and she's the quickest milker. Like I can milk her in a quarter of the time as it takes to milk Rosie. Just because her orifices, she's better dairy genetics.
East Frisians are proven the heaviest producers, and then Awasi. And my sheep are these. This girl right here and that one to your left is Awasi East Frisian hybrids. And then the one that's behind you, Rosie, that I milked, she is Lacan and Finn.
and her udder and her teat construction is just I only get like a quarter of the amount of milk for each squeeze, and it's noticeably not as rich of milk. See, I'm getting gushes, whereas Rosie doesn't really get gushes. And then JC over there is Happy's mom, and she's had like 7 lambs, 7 different sessions of lambs, and so she's just her orifices and everything is just even more gusher. I love shaking the foam off because that's the cream. This pint right here is 525 calories when I fill it up. That's insane. That's a meal. This pint is a meal. It's really easy to overdrink this stuff. It is so easy to overdrink sheep milk. You gotta be careful now. Now I'm learning. You really gotta make sure you don't go over a half gallon.
Well, I'm warn you about everything in diversity.
Yep, for sure. I knew that, but I got addicted because like I said, people weren't bringing that as trades by, and then Rosie over there came into milk. I rehomed her lamb, and then all of a sudden I had 3/4 of a gallon more, and I'm like, oh, I can't keep making so much cheese. I'll just down a little bit more and a little bit more, and oh my gosh, crazy. Hey, Cappy, last word. Right. Come on, Happy. Happy. What a good sheep. What a good sheep. There you go. And then, where'd JC go? JC doesn't even need to be tied up. She's such a good milker. This is Happy's. This is Happy's first lactation, so she hasn't really come around to be like most of my other sheep are well trained. Most of my full dairy sheep. She's a full dairy sheep. The first sheep that I milked, she's half beat sheep, and so it's understandable that she needs to be tied up. But usually these genetics that I've had, I teach them to just stand still, and they just stand still, and they're more than happy. But she is the most stubborn sheep I've ever had. Thank you. Oh my God, I'm trying to save for something right now. People are flipping. Like 5-year, 10-year vegans are starting to have like the gut issues that when you eat too much fiber. It scrubs and abrades the inside of your intestines and rubs the lining off, and then you start getting leaky gut.
Certain kinds are supposedly worse to cause
True.
that too.
Yeah.
And there's some people that tell you don't eat this fruit, eat this fruit, or don't eat whole grain.
Or don't eat oxalates, things with high oxalates.
Yeah. Oxalates, yeah, and particularly if you have a tendency towards kidney stones.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Are bad for that.
There's the same reason that they say not to eat wheat and gluten, because it's got it's got, I don't, have you heard of phytic acid? PHYTIC, phytic. Phytic acid was the first anti-nutrient and phytotoxin that they found like 10 years ago or something like that, and it's been slow. Like the establishment does not want it to get out because they want us grain-based, they want us plant-based, because it's literally the poor man's diet of the past.
Addictive.
It was and it's addictive.
I think it's how they enslaved people, because they would bring them in, they'd feed them like these stationary centers, like city center type constructions, and they'd feed them because, quite often they were probably starving because the population had outstripped all the wild foraging.
They always keep the population half starved so that they can't fight back.
But if you think about how grain works and how sugars work, they're cycling you constantly. Like you eat, you're craving the sugars because that's what grains
It
turn
burns
into.
quicker.
It burns fast, your body burns the sugars, and then you want more.
Yeah.
So that would keep the people there eating all the agricultural things rather than being out and saying hunting meat or, picking.
Exiting
wild
Babylon.
things.
Yeah, exiting Babylon.
Right.
Yeah.
So part of enslaving large numbers of people was to feed them grains.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I have no doubt about it.
And also, in the more recent years, them promoting that high carbohydrate, high grain diet with low fat. gets it to where we willingly malnourish ourselves over time because we don't have enough fats to be able to absorb the fat soluble nutrients that we need, which are like half of the nutrients we need. So like,
And then they supply sugars.
yeah, then that depletes it even more. Yeah.
They beat it up so cakes and pies and
Oh
candy,
God, so addictive.
soda, all that kind
I'm
of
so
shit.
glad that I'm not I haven't dumpster dived for years, and I'm so grateful because that is really hard to eat to eat intelligently when you have like good stuff in a dumpster, like all these fresh produce and bananas and avocados that are thrown away, but then you have like some cake from the cake department, and you're like, I got ya. Okay.
And the cake's always still, good because nothing eats it except you.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's got so much preservatives in
Like
it.
the Twinkie.
Yeah. Oh my
The
God.
10-year-old Twinkie.
Oh
It's
yeah.
the same on the
Yeah, I
left,
heard
so-
that it tastes the same after like 10 years, 20 years or something like that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yay!
Um,
Thank you, Sarah.